we can create some fantastic arms at home with almost no expensive equipment. Hey, Mark McKill here with Live Anabolic, and today I'm going to give you an at-home arm building workout that requires nothing but dumbbells. Now, the cool thing about working on our arms at home is you really don't need all that expensive equipment at the gym, all right? Matter of fact, pretty much every exercise that you do at the gym can be almost identically replicated at home with nothing more than dumbbells and some bands. And today we're not even going to use bands. We're just going to focus on dumbbells. You can't say that of legs and back and chest, all right? Going to the gym for those other muscle groups really is an advantage over working out at home, all right? Because there's a fantastic equipment, it's super expensive, and even though we can do exercises at home to work on our chest, our back, and our legs, they're just not as effective overall as what we can do today, because so much of what you do at the gym when it comes to building your arms is focused on using dumbbells, all right? And so that's what we're gonna do today. And so it doesn't matter if you're curling dumbbells at home or curling them at the gym, your muscles don't know where they are. They don't care, all right? They're gonna respond the same no matter where you are. So 4 great exercises today. And before I get into those, okay, I just wanna remind you of a free resource. We have a wonderful Facebook group, guys. Click the link below and check it out. Doesn't matter if you're not a social media fan. I don't care. Do it anyway, all right? At least experiment and do it. You can always cancel your account later, all right? I know people don't like Facebook, especially us older guys. I'm not a big fan of Mark Zuckerberg, I promise. But it's free. We got thousands of men around the world. They're the same ages as you and I are, and I'm in there every day as the moderator, answering questions and posting content, and then of course everybody else is too. Some phenomenal transformations. A lot of guys in there, supporting each other, and so it's just a no-brainer, guys. It's a freebie, and like I said, if you don't like it, cancel your account, all right? No harm done. The Chinese government isn't going to be following you around, spying on you, all right? So there's basically no drawback to at least joining the group and seeing if you like it, because I promise you won't regret it. All right, so just a couple of things before I get into the 4 exercises today. So the first thing is just a funny little tip/trick that I do when I work arms, all right? Because everybody loves arm day, right? That's pretty much every guy's favorite day. So when I'm at the gym doing arm day, I typically do this. I wear a short sleeve shirt, not a tank top, all right? So one way to make your arms look bigger, believe it or not, is to wear a shirt with real short sleeves, which means you can't go out and buy an XXL, t-shirt that's real long and baggy, right? So you need to find a shirt that's kind of tight with shorter sleeves. It will literally make your arms look bigger. It's like an optical illusion, all right? Trust me, do it once and see what you think. I'm sure all you guys have got an old t-shirt that might be a little too small for you. Try it out. I promise you're going to be more impressed with your arms if you do that than if you're wearing a tank top or a big baggy shirt. All right, that's the first one. Now, secondly, this focuses on the exercises themselves. So 4 different exercises, 2 for biceps, 2 for our triceps. And this is the way I like to do them, okay? This is the way I personally work my arms, okay? I will do a bicep exercise, and then I will do a tricep exercise, and then a bicep exercise, and a tricep exercise. So why do I do that, all right? Well, guys, you have to rest in between sets, right? So typically I rest for 60 to 90 seconds, kind of depending on the muscle group and how hard I'm pushing myself and what I'm trying to accomplish that particular day. But you can either just sit there and do nothing, okay? Or you can get down and do some ab workout, or you might do some stretching in your legs. Well, the thing is, if you only rest 60 seconds, then the next time, if you can do bicep exercises one after another, then the second set of biceps, you're not going to have fully recovered in 60 seconds. So that second set, you're not going to be able to push yourself as hard, all right? Now, you're not going to be out of breath. It's a small muscle group, right? But your body won't have time to flush out all the lactic acid that builds up after a set if you only wait 60 seconds, all right? So if instead you just wait 60 seconds but do a tricep exercise, your biceps still resting while you're actually working your triceps. Now, yes, it's part of your arm, but remember, when you're doing a tricep exercise, you're not using the muscle fibers in your bicep. So they're still basically recovering from that previous set. After you do your tricep exercise, you can rest for about a minute, then go back to a bicep, and now it's been several minutes since you last did a bicep exercise, right? So that is the mentality and the design that I use when I'm working my arms. And I've met some young guys at the gym, and they always come up to me and ask me questions because I'm an old fart and they figure I know more than they do, which is true. And one young guy didn't really believe me, and then I saw on his Instagram account, he started doing it, and he was talking about how great it was. So anyway, it just makes sense. It's kind of a common sense way to do things, and you can change it up occasionally and do nothing but bicep sets, work, and then move over and do just strictly triceps. But I think you're going to find that you get a bigger pump, all right, and you'll be able to hit each set harder with more intensity. And remember, the harder you push yourself, the more you damage the muscle fibers, and the more your body responds by coming back and building those muscles up bigger and stronger than they were, And so that's the whole thing, guys. You get more out of your workouts when you push yourself really hard. And the best way to push yourself really hard is to give your muscles a lot of rest in between sets. And this is a great way to do it without taking forever. Otherwise, you'd have to wait 2 or 3 minutes in between every bicep exercise if you didn't alternate back and forth. So, all right, with that said and done, and that concept hopefully fully in your mind, I'm going to show you the 4 different exercises that I think will help you guys build some fantastic arms. All right, so the very first one we're going to do here is alternating dumbbell curls. Now, you can do these standing up if you want, okay? And I like to mix it up. When I'm at the gym, some days, I'll do them standing up, and the next week I'll do them sitting down. So, guys, one of the reasons I like to do alternating is so you can literally focus on each arm for each rep, all right? I think it gives you a little bit better mind-muscle connection than doing both arms simultaneously. And then I want you to notice how I rotate the dumbbells as I come up and then back down, all right? So as I bring the dumbbell up, I pass my thigh and I immediately start rotating, all right? And then I go back down and rotate back to the neutral grip position. And you guys, this is really easy to get the hang of. And then the other thing is, especially as you're doing heavier and heavier weights, okay? When you go from side to side, you can just pull your knee in slightly, which will give you a little more room for the dumbbell to clear your thigh. And I do this at the gym, and that's not cheating. It doesn't hurt the development of your biceps to just get your knee slightly out of the way. And then when you do heavy weights, all right, you'll also notice that I slightly shift my weight to the side, okay? So if this is a real heavy weight and I don't shift my weight over here, the dumbbell is really gonna hit my thigh. So I will bring my knee in and I will bring my head over and I will literally look at my forearm coming up and down. And then, guys, it's not just doing the exercise that's going to make this effective for building your biceps. It's going to be a couple of different things. You need to pick a weight that you can do with good form for 8 to 12 reps. And 8 to 12 is a number that you're going to hear Gary and I use a lot. And it's because that's what the vast majority of the studies say is the most effective range to build muscle. Now, every once in a blue moon, I'll go to the gym and I'll do 15, maybe 20 reps. But that's extremely painful. It builds up a lot of lactic acid during each set. And I only do that just to mix things up because my body gets so used to doing the same rep range. So pick a weight that's hard to do with good form, but guys, it's gotta be difficult, all right, to do. If you can get to that 12th rep and you put the weight down and you're going, man, I know I could have really done 4 or 5 more reps if I had to, then the weight wasn't heavy enough. So on the next set, I want you to up the weight because I want you guys to be near failure at the end of each set. Okay, so in sticking with the concept that I mentioned at the very beginning of doing bicep, tricep, bicep, tricep, the second exercise, of course, has got to be a tricep exercise. So you don't have to wait 2 minutes after doing your biceps. You can move to this exercise within 30 seconds if you want, all right? Because remember, while we're doing our triceps now, our biceps are getting a nice breather, okay? So this is an overhead tricep extension. Now, guys, just like everything else, you got to pick a weight that you can use good form. Now, I'm using much lighter weights than I really would if I was doing a full-blown arm workout. The reason I'm using lighter weights is just makes it easier for me to show you guys and talk about the form. If I was using a heavy weight where I'm just killing myself, I would be straining so hard, it'd be hard to talk to the camera, all right? So one of the tips is, guys, sometimes it's hard to get it up here, all right? I like to put it on my thigh and you can just kind of bump it up to your shoulder. So I go from my knee to my shoulder, then I grip the flange of the dumbbell, okay? Like so, and you may not be able to see this real well, but it's kind of common sense, all right? You put your hands like this, and then from here, I'm just gonna go straight up, okay? And I'm going to let the dumbbell come down as deep as I can get. I wanna get as much depth or range of motion as possible. And that's as far as my body's gonna let that go, all right? And now I'm just gonna press straight up and then straight back down. Now, one thing I see at the gym with guys doing really heavy weights, because they're trying to impress other people, all right? They'll get a weight that's way too heavy and they'll go from here to there and they'll do these little half reps, all right? They're not getting a good range of motion. So, you know, depending on your flexibility, your shoulders, your elbows, I don't have any injuries, and that's as far as my body's gonna let me go, okay? And so I know where that is, and I just go straight back up and straight down. Now let's say you're pushing yourself really hard, okay? That lactic acid is building up, and you feel like, man, the pain, you're about to drop it, all right? So how do you get this thing down? You go, just go straight to your shoulder. Now all the weight is being held by my shoulder, so if I was doing this at the gym and I was either at failure on the last rep or close to failure, my triceps would be burning. I'd be just really, really weak. So you just go right here, and now it requires almost no energy, all right? And then you can go from your shoulder down to your knees and down to the ground. Simple as that. All right, so a little pop quiz. What is the third exercise going to focus on? It's got to be a bicep exercise, right? Okay, so lots of different bicep exercises. I like to throw in a one-arm concentration curl into pretty much every arm workout I do, okay? I really like doing it because like the name of the exercise says, you're concentrating on one arm. So we're gonna do these. These are gonna be called hammer curls or one-arm hammer curls. So I'm gonna be holding the dumbbell in a neutral grip, and I'm gonna bring it straight up and down, and it's called a hammer curl because that's basically how you would hold a hammer and hammer a nail in, just like this. You wouldn't be rotating your wrist, right? Boom, hammer, hammer, hammer. So same thing goes here. I like to use my offhand and put it on my thigh, and I create like a little cradle here for my elbow, okay? And then I'm just going to bring the dumbbell up and down. And guys, you have to use a weight that you can do with good form, but that you're going to reach failure or close to failure, you know, at that 8th to 12th rep. Now, the other thing is good form means that you're not swinging it up and then just letting it fall down. So I see guys at the gym kind of doing this, and I'm not even moving my upper body much, but just a little bit of that creates a momentum at the bottom of the movement, and then your muscles take over and use that momentum to get it all the way up here, and then instead of holding it for a split second, you just let gravity take over and drop it again. Well, that's, you're not getting enough stress on the bicep muscle fibers when you do that. So the really good, serious bodybuilders, they don't have to ego lift. They're so big, they're not trying to impress people with the weight they're using. So they'll use a modest weight, and they'll just, and I mean, their goal is to feel their bicep contract and really concentrate, literally, by looking at the bicep and feeling every single inch of the movement, of the range of movement when they're doing this exercise. So you can do one arm, and you don't really need to rest when you go to the other arm, okay? It's a real small muscle group, so you should not be out of breath. But once again, I create a cradle. You don't have to, but I like to. And I'm just gonna use the hammer grip throughout the full range of motion. I'm not twisting. A lot of times, I'll supinate, okay? I'll be rotating my hand like I did on the first bicep exercise, but not now, guys. We're doing a hammer curl instead of rotating, and all we're doing is putting emphasis on slightly different muscle fibers in our bicep, okay? And this is about the speed I want you guys to use, because if you go much faster, you'll start incorporating momentum, and then your biceps won't be contracting nearly as hard through the full range of motion. So if you pass the exam on my previous question, you'll know what type of exercise we're doing, all right? So the fourth and final one is, of course, gonna be a tricep exercise. So our triceps have really had probably 2.5 minutes of rest since we last hit them, you know, doing the overhead extensions. Now this is gonna be a close grip dumbbell bench press. Now, I'm gonna show you guys two different ways, and it's gonna depend on the equipment that you have. So let's say, for example, that you got several pairs of dumbbells, but they're not very heavy, okay? So maybe you only go up to 30-pound dumbbells. If that's the case, you're probably gonna need to use 2 dumbbells to do this exercise, because this is an exercise where your body is relatively strong. You'll be able to press a fair amount of weight, okay? Now, once again, I'm using way less than I really would, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. So basically, it's a dumbbell bench press, but we're gonna have our dumbbells real close together throughout the full range of motion. All right, so we're gonna go get in a position, all right? And I'm just gonna push straight up and down. Now, guys, yes, we are incorporating, you know, our chest and the front part of our shoulders, all right? But you're really gonna feel a lot of it in your triceps here, guys. All right, so remember, this is for you guys that don't have real heavy dumbbells, all right? Now, I'm gonna show you a different way you can do the same exercise if you have a heavier dumbbell set. Let's say you have dumbbells that go up to 50, 60 pounds, all right? You can get one of the really heavy ones and you can use both hands on it, okay? So let's say this is a 60-pound dumbbell. I'm gonna use both hands, get it into position, and I'm just gonna put the same exact thing. I'm gonna push straight up and down. And guys, the reason I'm basically talking while I'm doing this is to show you what I would consider a pretty good speed or tempo. You can always go slower, especially if you don't have very heavy dumbbells and it's just too easy for you. You can really control the movement. And at the top, really try to squeeze and flex your triceps and then slowly bring it down. And then slow back up and squeeze. And go slower on the eccentric, which would be the lowering of them, okay? You can go a little faster on the concentric where you're pushing it up, but then go even slower on the downward movement and then flex at the top and come down. And even though I was doing a light weight, I really started to feel the burn going on in my triceps. So my biceps and triceps, even though I'm not really pushing myself very hard, are already starting to feel like the blood is, is engorging the muscles. And when you're wearing a short sleeve shirt that's kind of tight and particularly short, it makes your arms look way bigger. So that's the 4 exercises and the little trick on how to make your arms look bigger with no extra effort. So guys, you can do wonderful work. We can create some fantastic arms at home with almost no expensive equipment that you would typically see at a gym, and it's going to be just as effective. It's all about you pushing yourself hard enough with the intensity and the amount of volume that it requires to build those arms. But I promise, if you stick with it and don't give up on yourself, you can do some amazing things at home.